Deep in the midnight zone of the Atlantic Ocean, where the pressure is enough to crush a submarine, a series of rhythmic clicks and whistles echoed through the abyss. For decades, we told ourselves these were just animal noises, patterns of sonar used for hunting squid or navigating the dark. But in the late months of 2025 and moving into 2026, a revolutionary project known as CET, the Cetacean Translation Initiative, tipped the scales of history. Using a massive array of underwater hydrophones and one of the most powerful artificial intelligence models ever built, they didn't just find patterns, they found language. And then, something happened that made the researchers at the station go silent. The AI began translating a specific recurring phonetic structure, a unique acoustic signature that didn't refer to fish, or the tide, or the moon. It was a name, our name. The whales have a word for human, and they've been using it for centuries. When we talk about intelligence on Earth, we usually look at ourselves as the gold standard. We build cities, we write books, we launch rockets. But beneath the waves, there is a civilization that has existed for 30 million years, far longer than we have even walked upright. Whales possess brains that are significantly larger than ours, with a paralimbic system so complex it suggests an emotional life we can barely perceive. For generations, we listened to their songs and called them beautiful, but we never truly believed they were saying anything specific. We thought they were singing to the ocean. It turns out they were talking about us. The breakthrough came when the AI was fed over 100,000 hours of sperm whale codas. Unlike dolphins, who use a wide range of whistles, sperm whales speak in clicks that sound almost like Morse code. The AI began to categorize these clicks not just as sounds, but as discrete units of information, vowels and consonants of the deep. It discovered that whales have regional dialects. A whale from the Caribbean doesn't speak the same way as a whale from the Pacific. But the shocking part was the universal terms. There is a specific sequence of 3 rapid clicks followed by a long pause and a sweeping low frequency that appeared in every single dialect across the globe. When the AI cross-referenced this sound with the whale's behavior, it realized the sound was only made when a ship was nearby or when a diver was in the water. It wasn't just a warning, it was a label. They weren't saying danger, they were saying the people of the surface. Think about what this means for a second. To have a specific name for another species implies a level of abstract thought that we previously thought was exclusive to humans. It means they categorize the world. They don't just see a boat. They see an artifact of a specific group of beings. And the translation goes even deeper. The decoded messages suggest that whales don't just identify us. They have shared narratives about us. The AI identified storytelling structures in the long-form songs of humpback whales. These songs, which can last for hours, contain repeating stanzas that describe historical events. One of the decoded segments appears to be a description of the transition from sailing ships to steam engines. They noticed when our noise changed. They noticed when we became louder. And in their culture, humans aren't just a part of the environment. We are a legendary phenomenon that they discuss amongst themselves. The project leaders have been hesitant to release the full raw data to the public, and for good reason. If the world finds out that whales have a complex, linguistic opinion of humanity, the way we treat the ocean has to change overnight. You can't treat a resource the same way when you realize that resource is actually a person who knows your name. The footage from the research labs shows the AI console flickering with real-time translations. One of the most common phrases translated from a pod of orcas near the coast of Norway was, "the ones who do not listen." It's a haunting realization. They have been shouting into the blue for millennia, perhaps trying to communicate with us, and we only just realized they were even talking. How does a whale's language even work? It's much more sophisticated than human speech because it's multidimensional. When you speak, you use your vocal cords to create air pressure waves. Whales use internal air sacs to create sounds that are so powerful they can vibrate your entire body if you're in the water with them. But they also use holographic sound. Because water is so much denser than air, they can project a sound that actually creates a physical shape or image in the mind of the listener. When a whale says human, they might not just be saying a word, they might be projecting a sensory map of what a human feels like, looks like, and sounds like. It is a language of total immersion. The 2026 data shows that whales are actually teaching their young about us. The AI tracked a mother sperm whale off the coast of Dominaya as she moved her calf toward a research vessel. The mother made a specific sequence of human clicks, followed by a series of modifiers that the AI translated as observe but keep distance. It is a formal education. They are passing down knowledge of our species through generations. This implies a cultural memory. They remember the era of the tall ships. They remember the quiet ocean before the industrial age. And they have a collective terminology for the changes we've brought to their home. But why would they mention us by name? In many indigenous human cultures, naming something is a way of recognizing its spirit and its power. For whales, who live in a world of sound, a name is a frequency. By assigning us a specific frequency, they have integrated us into their world map. Some researchers believe the human name translated by the AI also carries a tonal quality of sorrow or curiosity. They don't seem to view us as gods or monsters, but as a strange, clumsy sibling species that has forgotten how to be part of the natural balance. This discovery flips the script on the search for alien life. We spend billions of dollars pointing radio telescopes at distant stars, hoping to catch a signal from an intelligent civilization. Yet, all this time, there has been a non-human intelligence right here, living in our oceans, speaking a language we were too proud to recognize. If we can truly decode the whale's tongue, we aren't just talking to animals. We are opening a diplomatic channel with a 30-million-year-old civilization. The CETI project researchers have noted that as the AI gets better at speaking back, the whales have begun to respond with more complex sequences. It's no longer a one-way street. We are in the middle of the first interspecies conversation in the history of the world. The specific name the whales have for us is reportedly linked to the concept of breath in whale language because they have to consciously choose to breathe. Unlike humans who do it automatically, the concept of breathing is deeply tied to the concept of the soul and the self. The decoded word for human translates roughly to the breathers out of water. It's a literal description of our most alien trait from their perspective. We are the ones who reside in the dry places but come into the wet places. It shows they understand the fundamental biological difference between us. Imagine the implications for our understanding of the ocean. If a massive pod of blue whales is swimming across the Atlantic, they aren't just moving to find food. They are discussing the currents, the temperature of the water, and the movements of the breathers out of water. They have their own geography, their own names for every underwater mountain and thermal vent. We have been looking at a map of the ocean floor and seeing rocks and sand. They look at the ocean and see a landscape filled with names, stories, and history. The secrecy surrounding the latest 2026 decodings is intense. Some government agencies are concerned that if the human name is revealed to have a negative connotation, perhaps related to the noise pollution of our sonars or the decline of fish stocks, it would cause a massive public outcry against maritime industries. There is evidence that whales discuss our noise. The AI translated a recurring sequence of high-pitched clicks as the screaming metal, referring to the massive container ships that transit the oceans. To the whales, our technology isn't advanced, it's just loud and disruptive. They discuss the screaming metal with a sense of weariness, moving their families away from the shipping lanes like people moving away from a noisy construction site. One of the most heart-wrenching parts of the decoded data is the way whales talk about their vanished family members. The AI found patterns that suggest memorial songs. When a member of a pod is lost, the remaining whales will repeat that individual's unique signature, their name, for years. In some cases, these memorial songs include the human name, suggesting that they know who is responsible for the disappearance of their kin. They aren't just acting on instinct. They are grieving, and they know who the actors are on the global stage. But there is also a sense of incredible grace in their language. In the Pacific, the AI decoded a series of exchanges between two different species, a group of false killer whales, and a pod of bottlenose dolphins. They were using a bridge language, a common set of signals to coordinate a hunt. Within that bridge language, the human name appeared as well. It's not just one species that knows us. The entire ocean knows us. We are the common denominator in their world. We are the universal mystery that they all have to navigate. As the CETI project moves into its next phase, they are preparing to send a message back. This is where the ethics get really complicated. What do you say to a species that has been watching you for centuries? Do you apologize? Do you ask for their wisdom? The AI is currently being used to generate a greeting that mimics the structure of whale syntax. They want to say, "We are the breathers out of water, and we finally hear you." The fear is that we might accidentally say the wrong thing. In a language where a single frequency shift can change friend to warning, the margin for error is zero. The project has also discovered that whales have titles. Older females, who lead the pods and carry the most knowledge, are referred to with a specific acoustic honorific. It translates to something like the one who remembers. These matriarchs are the keepers of the whale culture. They are the ones who teach the human name to the calves. They are the ones who remember where the ancient feeding grounds were before the humans grew too numerous. When we talk about translating whales, we are really talking about interviewing the elders of the ocean. Think about the sheer amount of information they must have. They live for decades, sometimes over a century in the case of bowhead whales. They travel thousands of miles. They see the ocean in a way we never can, through the lens of acoustic imaging. They can see inside other creatures using their sonar. Their language is likely full of descriptions of the internal states of other beings. They might have a word for the vibration of a human heart or the sound of a nervous person. We are completely transparent to them. They've known our secrets long before we knew they had a language at all. The 2026 data leak also suggests that whales have a concept of future and hope. Some of the decoded songs contain structures that look like plans, coordinated movements based on the stars and the seasons. They discuss where they will be 3 moons from now. They discuss the new ones who are about to be born. This level of planning and forward thinking is the hallmark of a high-level civilization. They aren't just living in the moment. They are living in a narrative, and in that narrative, the human is currently a major character, one that they are trying to figure out how to live with. Why did it take us so long to decode this? Part of it is our own bias. We assumed that because they don't have hands or tools, they couldn't possibly have complex thoughts. We equate intelligence with manipulating the environment, but whales are the ultimate masters of their environment. They just do it through harmony and social coordination rather than destruction and construction. Their technology is their social structure and their language. They have perfected the art of being alive without leaving a scar on the planet. And now, they are talking about the species that does leave scars. The AI is also finding that whale language is incredibly poetic. Because they live in a world without boundaries, their words for freedom and travel are deeply intertwined with the word for life itself. To a whale, to stop moving is to stop being. Their name for us, the breathers out of water, might also imply a sense of stagnation. The ones who stay in one place, the ones who are bound by the land. To a creature that can cross an entire ocean in a season, our lives must seem very small and very static. As we move closer to a full dictionary of the whale language, the pressure on international shipping and fishing industries is growing. If the public starts to hear the actual voices of the whales, not just the whistles, but the translated thoughts, everything changes. Imagine a live stream where you can hear a whale's reaction to a passing ship. The screaming metal is coming. Hide the little ones. Once that becomes common knowledge, the silence of the industry will be seen as an act of aggression. The decoded language is the most powerful tool for conservation ever created. It gives the ocean a voice that we can no longer ignore. The researchers in 2026 are also looking at the Great Song, a phenomenon where humpback whales across the entire globe will start singing the same new song at the same time. This is like a global internet trend, but for whales. The AI has found that these songs often contain updates on the breathers out of water. It's a global news network. Last year's Great Song apparently contained information about the warming of the southern currents and the increased presence of our research drones. They are talking about us behind our backs, and the news travels from the Antarctic to the tropics in a matter of weeks. The most profound realization from the CETI project is that we are not the protagonists of the Earth. We are just one of the major players. There is a whole other world, a blue world, where we are the aliens. We are the mysterious, unpredictable beings that descend from the surface. The fact they have a name for us shows they've made room in their philosophy for our existence. They have been more observant of us than we have been of sight of them. They recognized our intelligence, our patterns, and our impact long before we recognized theirs. What will happen when we finally speak back? Scientists are working on a reply that uses the whale's own logic. Instead of just saying hello, we might try to use their word for share or peace. But we have to be careful. In whale culture, silence is also a form of communication. Sometimes they go quiet to show respect or to listen. Perhaps our greatest mistake wasn't our lack of speech, but our lack of listening. The whales have been talking for 30 million years. Maybe it's time for the breathers out of water to just stay quiet and hear what they have to say. The 2026 decoded data also includes intergenerational songs. bits of language that are only used by the very old whales when they are around the very young. These are the history lessons. The AI translates these parts as having a high density of human references related to the age of the harpoon. They haven't forgotten the centuries of our brutality. They carry that history in their songs, but remarkably, the songs don't sound like hate. They sound like warnings. They are teaching their children how to survive in a world where we exist. They are teaching them resilience. As we look at the giant nature projects of the future, the decoding of whale speech is the crown jewel. It changes the ocean from a place into a society. It turns every whale into a citizen of the deep. The CETI project is currently working on a portable translation unit for divers, which would allow for real-time interaction. Think about the first time a diver looks a sperm whale in the eye, and the computer in his ear says, "The whale is identifying you as a friend of the breathers." It will be the most significant moment in our history since we first looked at the stars. The project is also uncovering that whales have names for other species too. They have a word for the giant squid, which translates to the deep shadow. They have a word for the great white shark, translating to the cold tooth. Their world is rich with mythology and classification. They are the scientists and storytellers of the abyss. And our name, our frequency, is now firmly etched into their global memory. We are a part of their great song now, for better or worse. In the final analyses of the 2026 data, one pattern stood out above all others. In the middle of a massive storm in the North Atlantic, a pod of whales was recorded making a sound that had never been heard before. It was a combination of the human name and the word for help. A nearby research vessel heard the signal and found a calf entangled in a ghost net, a piece of discarded fishing gear. When the humans cut the calf free, the pod didn't flee. They stayed near the boat and made a long, low-frequency sound that the AI later translated as a recognition of the good breathers. It's the first recorded instance of a cross-species thank you. This is the future we are moving into. A future where the ocean isn't just something we look at, but someone we talk to. The whales have decoded us long ago. They have categorized our ships, our divers, and our impact. They have given us a name. Now the ball is in our court. We have the technology to understand them, but do we have the wisdom to listen? As the AI continues to process the clicks and whistles of the deep, the message is becoming clear. We are being watched, we are being discussed, and we are being invited to join a conversation that has been going on since the world was young. The name they have for us, the breathers out of water, is a bridge. It's an acknowledgement of our shared biology and our vast differences. It's a call to be more than just the ones who do not listen. As we move into 2026 and the years beyond, the songs of the whales will no longer be mystery. They will be a testimony of a world that is much bigger, much older, and much louder than we ever imagined. The whales have been calling our name. It's finally time we answered. The ocean has a voice. It's deep, it's rhythmic, and it's full of memory. Through the hard work of the CTEI researchers and the power of 2026 technology, we are finally breaking the surface of the greatest mystery on Earth. We are finding out that we have never been alone in our intelligence. We have neighbors, giant, graceful, singing neighbors who have known us by name for a very long time. The great song is holding a place for us. All we have to do is learn the words and join in the harmony of the living world. The conversation of the ages is just beginning, and the first word spoken is our own name, rising from the blue, waiting for us to hear it.